Saquon Barkley finally giving us his reaction to Hard Knocks with the Giants. Jalen Hurts is not the top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And Jason Kelce has been in the Eagles facility a lot more than some of these active players with the Philadelphia Eagles. With that being said, you already know what to do. Cue the music.
Let's make this epic.
Welcome to the Skybox, where we give our epic perspective in an imperfect sports world. You know I got the coldest pop panel in the game with the coldest podcast in the game. So I'm just going to go straight to the panel right now. He shakes the rope. He shakes the rope like the ultimate warrior. My guy. You already know who he is. One word. Mamba. What's good with you, fella?
Mikey, man, I can't wait. Let's delve into this. Come on.
Yeah, let's just get right into it. You already know I got the coldest panel in the game. You know I got the coldest podcast in the game. You already know what you need to do. Hit that like and subscribe button. It's only $3.99. Let's just get right into it. Just the other day, Diana Rossini had a beautiful, phenomenal interview with Saquon Barkley. And she dug deep into what was going on between Saquon and the Giants. And Saquon finally gave his reaction. Listen to this.
Really sending, true offers and, wanted me to come play for the team. So then that felt good because it was like, all right, like, I feel like the Giants thought I was going to go out there and get 9, maybe 8, stretch at 10, and then I'll come back to them and it's like, all right, well, we got you. If you want to come play at 9, you come play at 9, which I think that truly would have got it done. I think that's just where they valued me at, or Joe valued me at. That's what he had a price point where he was willing to pay, and he wasn't going to go over to it. Kudos to him for sticking to his gut. But yeah, that's how I feel, and I kind of felt like it was like, kind of a little disrespectful, to be honest, because it's kind of like a slap in the face. But you go see what you are worth, and then if you're worth that, we'll see if you're worth it, and maybe we'll match it. So it's like.
Whereas you would have liked the Giants to say, hey, we value you. Look what you've done for our offense. Look what kind of locker room guy you are. Look what you do for the brand of the New York Giants, right? If you are in the New York, New Jersey area, your jersey's everywhere. It's Barkley, right?
Yeah.
There's very few other big selling jerseys. New York Giants are Saquon Barkley at this point. And for them to say to you that you have to go figure out what your value is or go test it because, we don't want to overpay you. Did you feel that it was a very one-sided relationship at that moment?
Yes and no. Definitely one-sided, but I would say no, because at the same time, like, you got to be mature about the situation, and you got to understand the business side of it. And for 2 years, that's all I've been asking for.
All right, Mamba, listening to all that, the Giants handling Saquon was a pure disaster. What we didn't know was it hadn't just been carrying on since last year. It was carrying on since he got franchise tagged 2 years ago. What's your thoughts?
And the Giants wonder why they are cast off into oblivion where they deserve to be. I mean, you draft Saquon, 5 years ago, and you give him everything he could possibly want, but you never give him the offensive line he needed. You make him the king of New York. You make him that much of a king of New York that Nike does a special NYC Air Force One shoe for him. Fans around the New York State area, or, I should say metro area, are so in love with him. He's their number one selling jersey for I don't know how many years straight. And then you bring in this new GM who thinks he knows everything. And you could tell from Saquon's reaction, he had even said during the course of the interview, the minute he got off the phone or the minute that he heard, hey, go check out that's any player's, we're done with you, unless you're going to come in millions of dollars. And I think the Eagles offered him 1.8 more than what the Giants were. But then you have an owner, John Mara, who's saying, oh, I don't like the idea that he's going to Philly. Then fight for him. Fight for the player that you want. It's like in any organization, Patrick Mahomes, right there. What are you going to do? Oh, yeah, go talk to other teams. Do you know how many teams would sign Mahomes the minute he left KC's facility? And Mara's going to think that Saquon's not going to get signed by a rival. Get out of here. I'm sure if Philly did not sign Saquon, his next stop was Arlington, Texas. He was going to meet with Jerry Jones. That's the kind of player that Saquon is. And to see him energized, but yet to see this, like, just the air let out of him saying, like, hey, this was my team. I get it. I'm a loyal kind of guy too, and I'd hate to leave, but you're going to do me dirty like that? You're damn right I'm leaving.
I think another thing that I got out of that interview, besides the way the situation hit, was that we found out there was 2 other teams out there that were gunning for him. And it was not out there in Arlington, Houston Texans and the Chicago Bears. He said in the interview that he put a lot of pros and cons out there.
Right. And Chicago got Swift. I mean, they did get our former running back, which I'm happy that Swift got locked up to a nice deal. But at the same time, Swift did what he had to in Philly last year. And, a team like Chicago would be choosing Barkley over Swift. But at the same time, I'm glad we landed Barkley. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Here, did you see the clip that just came out the other day of, the Giants saw Saquon. They saw him at PSU, Penn State University. Check out this clip.
I wish him the best. He's a good kid. He was a blue player coming out. He been through a lot, and he stayed loyal, tried to lead our team as much as possible. It might end up being better for all involved. I just wish the story would have been better, but sometimes you gotta write a new story. Yeah. But I do love him. Love him as a kid.
So we get a couple free agents I think will help us.
Yeah, I signed
The Runyon kid from Green Bay, and then Illuminor is a kid that I've had. Jermaine's like one of those kids. I love him. Truly, he's one of those players that you say, like, hey, I love you. Let's have a day today. That kind of deal. Yeah. But I mean, he's my child.
Yeah. Runyon's pretty good, right?
Runyon's smart, tough, athletic enough.
Left, right.
We'll see. Like, there's some versatility in the room, and Runyon brings us some center flex as well, so that we needed that as well. With John Michael and the backups there.
What do you think about them when it came down to? Let me ask you this. Let me say it like this. How do you think the Giants felt when they saw Saquon Barkley right after everything that went down?
They saw it as he went to our mortal enemy. How dare he? That's how I think they saw it. And, the game of football is a business. You're either up for that business, you're up for that challenge. But if you're going to sit back on your hunches and go, well, he'll come back. Doesn't work that way. Not at all.
Not at all. I agree. Turning the tables a little bit. ESPN and other sources came out with their top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. There has to be no reason Jalen Hurts shouldn't be on that top 10. But guess what? Ladies and gentlemen, Jalen Hurts is not on the top 10 ESPN quarterback list. A little part of me does understand it, but a lot of me does not understand it, because 1 year and you're telling me he's out of the top 10 But then you have quarterbacks that have done the same thing he had done, got to the Super Bowl, and didn't have a good season, but they're still on that list. And there's some on the list that have been injured, and there are some that have been injured not more than just one season. They've been injured in multiple seasons, and they're still on this list. Give me a perspective on that, Mamba. Talk to me.
When I look at the list, I kind of shook my head. I mean, you have 4 quarterbacks who definitively have performed well in the Super Bowl, which are Mahomes, Stafford, Rodgers, and Burrow. I mean, now Burrow came up on the losing end, but he still performed okay. He showed why he's Joe Burrow. But when I look at the rankings and I see Herbert again, like this is one of those speculating lists again. Oh, he's got a new coach. He'll be good. They said that the last time they brought in the guy that was just fired from San Diego, who couldn't get it done either. He was an offensive mind, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, Herbert's got to go. He hasn't proven anything, so he should not be in the top 10. Mahomes has definitely solidified himself as the number 1 quarterback in the NFL.
Let me ask you something, Mamba, because it just slipped my mind when you're talking about Justin Herbert. I want to ask you this question. Do you really think the reason why they did put Justin Herbert in that top 10? Because again, he's had about 2 or 3 offensive coordinators throughout his career. He's going on the second 10 of his head coach in his career.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you is this: is it because of who they got that boosted him up a little bit? Because Jim Harbaugh was a former quarterback. Now, Justin Herbert is going to be more comfortable to talking to someone that is a former quarterback in the NFL that played at a high peak, and he does it in anywhere he goes. He goes to college, he does it. He comes to the NFL, he gets it done. He went back to college and got it done. And now he's back in the NFL. They think that Jim Harbaugh is going to get it done and make this man a great quarterback because of it. Jim Harbaugh doesn't throw the ball 50 to 60 times down the field. He's going to have a good, legit running game, and he's going to get Justin Herbert to only throw about 25 to 30 times down the field. Your thought?
Again, you know, if we're going to compare or speculate based on the philosophy of the head coach, then Herbert gets that do-over like he always does. But my biggest point of contention is how many do-overs does Justin Herbert get? And I think you said it. He's been through 2-3 guys in the past. Now you bring in Harbaugh, who's no-nonsense type of coach, who basically says, look, I played at this league. There were a few years I played at the highest. My blood, sweat, and tears were given. He's one pass away from going to the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. But when I look at the list, I don't see him top 10. And that's based on his record. I mean, Stroud at 7, he had a breakout year. And I don't even think Hurts during that year that the Eagles went to the Super Bowl was as high as 7. I think he was at 9 in that particular listing. So when I look at this list, I question it from top to bottom. I mean, Lamar Jackson, talented quarterback, great quarterback during the regular season, can't get it done in the playoffs, has yet to get it done. Josh Allen is a warrior, but then Josh Allen throws how many picks and does how many stupid things, and then which Josh Allen, so I'm not sold on him being the number 3. Stafford, I could see Stafford in that lower half. They have him at 5, but I think that's high for Matthew Stafford right now. Herbert definitely shouldn't be there. Stroud should not be at 7. I'd put Stroud at 10. Rodgers, come on. what, because I'm Aaron Rodgers, I get to be in the 8th spot. I mean, even a bad year that Jalen had, he deserved to be at least 8. And you left off Brock Purdy. I mean, now we're going to say that Purdy isn't the real deal. He's been to an NFC championship twice. He's been to the Super Bowl once. I mean, it's time that ESPN and whoever is drinking their Kool-Aid step down and go have their conversations with Pinocchio, the Goofy, and Mickey, because they're definitely a Mickey Mouse organization over there, for sure.
I like where he's going with that. I like every spot that you looked at it. You looked at it all the way through the injuries to even the persona and the aura of some of these quarterbacks. That I agree with a lot what you said there, Mamba. And if you guys agree with what Mamba said, or you want to comment below.
Hey, and here's the other thing. You know, I know one of our compadres on our show, not the biggest fan of Dak Prescott, but Dak gets his due. I hate to say it, as whatever Sean would say, being a Cowboy fan, and me, of course, being the hated Eagles, you know, Dak Prescott deserves to be on this list based off how he performed last year. No doubt about it. But, you know, at the same time, Jalen Hurts, year in, year out, has got to do 10 times the work that some of these guys have had to do. I don't think that's right.
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with the sense of you saying that Jalen Hurts should definitely be on the top in that top 10, at least between. I'll go, and I'll even be honest. You give me between 7 and 10, I'll be all right with that.
I would too. Yep, for sure.
I'm not saying he's in the top tier. Absolutely not. Not saying that at all. No. Because we still got some work to do. With Dak Prescott, I think Dak Prescott gets a little bit too much and too little. He gets too much because he's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
He gets too little because he's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. That's very simple.
Yep.
You don't have wiggle room as the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. If you don't win it, you ain't getting up in that top 5.
Right.
You're not winning playoffs, you're not getting that top 5. You can be the MVP for 2 straight years. You're not winning playoff games or winning championships. You will not get in the top 5, and that will be because of the media. Simple.
But it's nice to have a star on your helmet.
I guess so. You're about to get paid $60 million.
Yep.
A year. Last but not least, it's been said that Jason Kelce has been in this facility a little bit more often and a little bit more than some active players. What's your thoughts about that?
You know, someone asked me a couple weeks ago who my favorite Eagle was, and, you know, I had to go back. I mean, even back before Dawkins and, you know, back into the 80s where it was Eric Allen for the short period of time that he was in Philly. But for the long haul, Jason Kelce is my favorite Eagle of all time. And it's just the fact that even his playing days are done and he somehow, some way wants to connect with the organization, help in some immediate fashion, get players in the position that they need to be in to be successful. And this speaks to Jason as the character that he was as a player. And now that his playing days are done, I would not be surprised if we do not see Jason Kelce as a coach, as a consultant, or as an executive in the Eagles organization where he belongs, because he wants to do it. He wants to do it. And there are many players throughout the league who have this allegiance to their former teams. And he just, I don't know how to say it. He just exhales the breath of Philadelphia. He inhales the breath of Philadelphia. You know, and someone could say, what? He inhales, exhales. He lives and breathes Philly. He really does. And with that being said, that's the kind of mentality that you need in a locker room, you need in a building, you need just around you to gravitate to when things are bad and also when things are at its greatest. And I applaud him, man. I think he's wonderful. I hope the next time I'm in Philly, I run into him. I'll buy him his cheesesteak at Angelo's and him and I will freaking chug a beer together. That's how great I think he is.
My man, my man. And even saying that, like in that Saquon Barkley interview, you heard him say when the Giants played Philly, he said, when you look across and you look at Philly, you look at them like, these dudes are crazy.
Right, right.
But then when you're a part of it, you say, no, these dudes are crazy. They really believe and they bleed this shit. They believe this shit. AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, like now Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, like Dallas Goedert, like these dudes believe this. When you look over at Nick Sirianni doing all those antics, you're like, man, that dude is crazy. But when you get in his face, you're like, yo, this dude is crazy. What I want to ask you about, lastly, talking about Nick Sirianni, there's been speculation about the Nick Sirianni and the Jalen Hurts relationship. That when you look at Jalen Hurts is more of a calm, cool, collective guy. Just let's get the job done. I got my work paid. Let's go get it in. Nick Sirianni is more in your face, loud, just all out. Sometimes can be obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
By hearing this, what's going on with their relationship between these two, the one thing I do know is this. Jalen Hurts got paid. AJ Brown got paid. Devontae Smith got paid. If the main guys got paid, there's only one person that is on that hot seat. And if you don't produce, you're out of there. Your thoughts?
Being that it was the first off-season practice yesterday, I know one of the reporters tried to open with what's been talked about on sports radio in Philadelphia, what has seemed to got into the papers. And before the reporter could go any further, Jalen just cut him off and said, look, Coach and I are on the same page. These are the things we're working on. This is what we're working towards. I feel he stepped up as a true leader. I really do. And I know some people would say, yeah, but there's that speculation they don't get along. I didn't get along with every coach I ever played for. That's just the way a player is. That didn't mean, though, I didn't respect them. That didn't mean I didn't go around the locker room or outside the facility and talk crap about my coaches. I never did that either. If there was something I disagreed with, I went to that coach about it. Or if there was something that really, just maybe I talked to a good friend of mine who was a teammate. I said, man, what do I got to do? And when I look at this situation with Jalen, I think he knows, hey, this isn't my dad who I formerly played for. This is not Lincoln who I formerly played for. This is not so-and-so. This is not Nick Saban. Because if Nick Saban's not crazy, I don't know who is. I mean, we've all seen his tirades on a sideline. So I think, if anything, yeah, there's not that gelling from a personality standpoint. Yes, Sirianni does talk a lot of, let's say it, talks a lot of shit. And Jalen's the kind of player to go out there and say, I'm backing this up with my form of play. But at the same time, Jalen gets fired up. But, I think for any player, it takes time to develop that deep, meaningful relationship between player and coach. And people can say, oh, it's been 4 years. Yeah, you don't develop trust overnight. Trust is built. The fact that he shows him respect, he shows him respect. The fact that he's told him on the sideline, hey, shut up. We don't want a 15-yard penalty, for unsportsmanlike. I respect that. And if Nick Sirianni doesn't respect it, then he's a fool. So when I look at this, either Sirianni has two things he's got to do. One, get on the same page with all of his players, not just Hurts, all of his players. And two, maybe take a step back from trying to antagonize and intimidate the other team and put your team in a position to antagonize and intimidate players, not you as the coach.
That was perfect. Can't say it no better than that. Can't say it no better than that. Fly, Eagles, fly. Fly, Eagles, fly. With that being said, thank you for watching the Skybox exclusively on YouTube. If you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns, email us at the number one Skybox at gmail.com. You already know who I am. I'm Michael C, the source of life, over the mic, and I got my guy, Boom, and I got the coldest panel in the game with the coldest podcast in the game. And I'm going to leave you with these 4 words. Now, let's make it happen.
You can't come any faster, baby.
If you like this episode, just think about what the Eagles have and why they're going to be an unrecognizable offense this season.